Veronica presents the AI Repertory Theatre's production of New World Papers. Book 1, The Historian's Tale, by K.B. Shaw. Chapter 8. Historian.
The descent and our discoveries were not important that day. Or was it night? We'd lost track of time. It was a time of shock, grief, confusion, and uncertainty. Several hours after our arrival, Mrs. Greer pulled Bedford, Lenore, and a few other people away for a meeting. I didn't know where I was. I had no place to go, and I had nothing to do, so I wandered aimlessly through a series of structures Bedford had called the Commons. I was emotionally drained and physically exhausted. My brain conjured no images. I leaned my back against a wall someplace and slid to the floor. My chin sank to my chest.
Fallon?
It was a woman's voice in my dream.
Fallon?
A hand on my shoulder roused me.
Fallon?
Said Lenore softly.
The missus wants to see you. Gently now.
Gently? She saw my puzzlement and pointed down as she put her finger to her lips. Shh. Addie was asleep, her head in my lap, my left hand resting in her hair. I looked sheepishly at Lenore. Addie stirred.
I'm awake.
She sat up, then kissed me on the cheek. Addie and Lenore exchanged looks.
I'll take him,
said Addie. A warm flush swept across my face. Lenore shrugged, turned, and strode purposefully away. As I watched Lenore leave, Addie got to her feet and reached out her hands.
Come on.
I took her hands, letting her help me to my feet.
Grandmother sent me to help you find a room. But you looked so comfortable, I decided to lie down beside you.
Very few people were moving about. The gas lights were either extinguished or turned low.
This is it.
Said Aiden, after just a short walk.
I'll wait for you and show you to the pods when you come out.
Mrs. Greer looked worn when I entered her office. She sat behind a desk and motioned me to take a seat.
Fallon, you've done everything we've asked of you and more,
she said.
Now it looks like you'll be stuck with us for some time longer. I hope you'll accept my apology.
Apology? There's nothing to apologize for, ma'am. There was a spark of happiness in her eyes.
Do you mean that?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I feel like I didn't start to live my life until that day you bought me. I smiled.
Bought you, indeed.
She perked up at the memory.
That swine, Honinger.
She sighed deeply as weariness washed over her again.
Seems like ages, though it's been less than 2 weeks. I am so grateful that you are now part of the family.
Family.
I shan't keep you long. I have a favor to ask. Then you can go back to your room. Addie did get you settled, didn't she?
Yes. Thanks. I lied.
Good. I must tell you that your abilities are already talked about and respected. Several different department heads have requested your services.
I'll gladly do whatever you ask.
That's good to know, but my position gives me some authority, so I want to make my request first. Now, as you're aware, a lot has happened since you've come to us. New World might be about to change for the better, or possibly worse. We can't be sure. Will we be benefactors to our world, or its betrayers? Only future generations will be able to tell. And to do that, they will need a record of what we discover and what we do. We need a historian. Will you be the first historian of New World, Fallon?
I was stunned. Historian? I'm not sure I know what that means exactly.
Nor do we. But we have documents here in this complex that will help you figure it out. We'll work through it together.
She sat patiently as I considered what she was asking of me. Historian? How long would it take? How many weeks, months, cycles? Every yesterday is history, isn't it? It would take the rest of my life. I'll try.
I can't ask for more. Your first task will be to talk to everyone who was left in the house when we went away to the observation base. Take the time you need, then write it up and present it to me.
I nodded.
We've sent everyone else to bed, so off with you. Sleep as long as you need to. We're not going anyplace. When you are fully rested, just ask anyone for anything, and they will help.
Addie had 2 handheld static lights cranked up and turned on when I came out of Mrs. Greer's office.
There are a dozen dormitory pods that branch off from the community area. Do you have a preference?
My room at the Mount was in the attic, so it was secluded and quiet. I like that. I could use some time by myself, someplace I can write and draw without interruptions.
That'll be easy. Most of the pods are empty because this place is beyond huge. And the team is pretty close-knit, so they stay in 2 adjacent pods. First, we need to get your bedding.
She led me confidently through the darkened commons. It dominated the center of the quarter's main cavern. It was laid out like a small village with streets and an open courtyard at the center. The 2- and 3-story buildings were constructed of stone blocks and bricks, with wood doors and trim and glass windows. The architecture was similar to that above ground. We reached a shop-like facade that had dry goods painted on the window. Addie opened the door and shone the light on shelves stacked with clothes, bedrolls, blankets, sheets, and pillows.
Everywhere down here stays about this temperature all cycle round, so take what you think you need.
She said while leading me through the large shop.
Sweaters are nice, or you can layer clothes. When they're dirty, drop them at the laundry and come back here for a clean set. You'll definitely need bedding.
I lugged the bedroll. Addie insisted I needed the wide one, a blanket and some sheets. Addie carried 2 pillows, several towels, and some washcloths. I began to appreciate the size of the quarters and just how secluded I'd be as we made our way to Pod G. Each pod was a rectangular area carved into the rock at the end of a short tunnel. The pod tunnel had broad double doors at both ends, giving the pod its own privacy. When we entered the pod, Addie balanced the pillows on my load, went to the front wall, and cranked a static box a few turns. A series of overhead lights began to glow softly, just enough to illuminate the pod. It was laid out with the same sensibility as the commons. A spacious open area in the middle held an informal meeting area and several long tables with benches. Everything was covered with layers of dust. 10 rooms were partitioned off on each of the left, right, and rear walls, much like the offices and rooms in the observation base. Their fronts were crafted brickwork that gave each room a distinctive look. The rooms were large enough for a door and 1 or 2 windows. I didn't see any facilities, so I reminded myself to look for a bedpan the next day.
What do you think?
Even in my tired state, I'm impressed. She closed the tunnel doors, took the pillows, and went to a room with a window on each side of the door. I followed.
Is this okay?
Anything will do. This time, she balanced everything but a towel on my load. She was inside and cranking another static lamp before I crossed the threshold. This wasn't a room. It was more like a small cottage. The front area had a sitting space and a small combination dining kitchen area with cupboards and a sink. Everything inside was dust-covered, too. Does the water run?
Not sure. I was just about to find out.
She crossed to the sink and turned a handle. There was a hissing sound, then a gurgle, then a flow of grayish, stinking water.
This pod hasn't been used for as long as I can remember.
The water soon cleared and smelled fresh. Addie set to work, cleaning the tabletop with a wet towel. It was blackened almost immediately and had to be rinsed several times before the job was done.
There.
She said, again taking her share of the supplies.
You can set your load down now. We have some more cleaning to do before you can get to bed.
She rummaged under the sink and found a metal bucket which she filled with water.
Well, why are you just standing there? Come get the bucket.
She took the wet towel and grabbed another dry one before heading toward the door in the back wall, which stood ajar. She pushed it open with her shoulder. Another whir of a static box. I followed. The back half consisted of a good-sized bedroom with a private bath and privy to one side. It didn't have a tub, only a shower, but it was an unimaginable luxury. Together we cleaned the raised stone platform that served as a bed. When we ran clean water in the shower and privy, I was surprised to find that the sinks and showers had both hot and cold water. We retrieved the bedding from the dining table and made up the bed. Our tasks completed, she put her hands on my shoulders, stood on her toes, and kissed me on the lips. I watched as she turned and headed for the front door. The light in the front room blinked out, but I didn't hear the door. Addie came back into the bedroom. She was naked. She was a grown woman, a beautiful woman. She snapped off the bedroom light and moved into the room, where she was silhouetted by the fading glow from the bath light.
It's been a hot, dirty day. We should clean up.
She stepped into the shower and turned on the water. Her copper hair turned dark with moisture and clung to her face and body. I followed. That night was not the same as with Jenna. Aiden was sweet, tender. It was her first time. I awoke with Addie's head on my chest, her arm around me. I ran my hand through her hair. It felt good. It felt secure. It felt right. She stirred, kissed me on the chest, and then fell back asleep. With no windows, the room was perpetually dark. My eyes drifted shut. I don't know what time of day it was when Addie shifted her hand and roused me. She kissed me on the lips and positioned herself on top of me.
I almost died that night in the fire.
She said as she moved her hips slowly, bent down and kissed me again.
I was half overcome with fumes and terrified, not of dying, but of the chance that I might never see you again and never be with you.
Another kiss.
Thank you for not turning me away.
I'm glad I didn't. I raised myself up and kissed her upon the face and body. She started to cry. What's wrong? What have I done?
Nothing. Everything is right.
She increased the rhythm of her movement. I responded in kind.
At this moment, everything is perfect.
It was perfect. What will your grandma say? I asked as we lay there exhausted.
We're both of age.
Both of age?
Yes, I believe the day the house burned was your birthday.
My birthday. The day I was looking forward to all my life. My 18th annum had come and gone, and I hadn't given it a thought.
Fallon, you're of age. You're free.
She showered me with kisses, then whispered playfully in my ear.
Plus, you're stemmed, so I don't have to worry about my contract.
What contract?
You know.
You do realize that you're technically dead, don't you? We're both dead.
Dead. Bloody bee. My contract reverts to the council to be auctioned off.
Consider my position. I barely existed in the eyes of the council, and now I'm dead. I died on my bloody 18th birthday. I fell silent and still as a corpse. She put her hand over my heart and said,
Oh no!
She moved it down my body, probing, then stroking.
I think you are dead. You're getting stiff.
We laughed. You know, your grandma...
You're thinking of grandmother now?
I'm talented. I can do two things at once. She withdrew her hand.
What about grandmother?
She asked me to be the historian.
A historian?
The historian. The first historian of New World. Addie and I sat at the kitchen table and talked. We decided to keep our relationship secret for a while. Addie would make her way back to the Commons first, and I would appear a discreet time later. Before she left, I performed my first act as historian by having her tell me her version of what happened in the house after Bedford and I had left. She was buoyant when recounting how she had played her grandmother, "We fooled that council screel," and broke down when recounting the horror of the fire. We hugged and kissed. I soothed her. She made me feel needed. Finally, she got up to leave. She told me how to find the mess hall, which opened on the Commons courtyard, and reminded me to bring the hand lamp so I could find my way back. We hugged and kissed in the doorway. I couldn't let her go. She pushed me away.
Tonight. You have work to do, historian.
And she was off. She was right, of course. There was a lot I needed to do. I needed to get my new rooms cleaned and supplied. I needed to familiarize myself with the quarters. I needed to stock up on writing and drawing materials. I needed to find clothing beyond what I had on my back. I needed to find out how to be a bloody historian.
End of chapter 8. Next up, the team.